York accent or an Oakland accent. Look at how they talk about Ryan Coogler.
That's not because of lack of opportunity. Ryan Coogler accent didn't stop him from being the highest gross black director of all time.
Like, what I'm saying is
a lack of opportunity.
And you're black, and if you're qualified, your black accent not going to keep you.
That's more indicative.
No, but
that's more indicative.
Your black accent.
Ryan Coogler is an exception. The average black director does not speak like Ryan Coogler. He is an exception.
But that's proving the point that he has this stutter, he has this accent, and he's still at the top of his class.
But he is an exception.
He's not but the black immigrants and the Caribbean immigrants you're talking about,
exception with his talent also.
And so you're telling me that once they touch down here, they have less to overcome or more to overcome than one of the quote unquote top black Americans here, is what you're saying.
Bro, they already had to overcome to even get here.
No, I'm talking about here. I'm talking about here.
They've already overcame things to even get here. So yeah, then they are.
But they did it though. You just said they come from the top 10% of their home. What did they have to overcome being so wealthy?
But they still.
But that means they had less to overcome than us. If they had to overcome,
like do they come from the top 10% of their homeland, meaning that they're wealthy, or do they not? Yes,
but that's what he said. Even their top percent, our average in a lot of cases is making more money, is having more education, is having more access to healthcare and things. Even our average person is competing with a lot of their top people.
And so if it's harder for them, why does the data in terms of income not prove to be that it's more difficult for them to earn than black Americans?
The data is including more than just African immigrants. They're including,
and by the time they've gotten here, they're
including all of those immigrants. It's not separated by just saying African. When they are talking about immigrants and the benefits that they're facing,
even when they break it down by country. No, I'm talking about broken down by country.
G, I think that the video explains why that would be. Where, and I think that it's like what he said is fair when you're talking about giving like a good representation. So it would be easier for their top 10% to be successful in America in comparison to the whole of all black people in America. That's why the numbers are skewed. If you, again, now just look at the top 10% of black people in America and compare that to, like, let's just say all Nigerians in America, because if we're saying that that's their top 10%, now it looks different. The comparison looks completely different. And that's where the fairer comparison would be at. Their numbers are going to skew higher because it's more of a selected, vetted group that makes it inside totality in America.
Which means, so my point is, once they get here, they have an easier path to success.
Yeah, I think y'all are arguing two separate points, though.
No, so A-Black is saying that it's harder for them once they get here.
A-Black, correct me
I'm not saying it's harder. I'm not saying it's easier. I'm saying they got this. They get opportunity. Like what benefits? Tell me what benefits an African immigrant comes. They get here that puts them above a black of American. Are they getting like some type of voucher? Are they getting the money? Like
we have different starting points. We have different starting points, as you just highlighted, right? Like,
but to be fair though, we're talking about the top 10% of black people. The top 10% of black people are doing well as well. It would be different starting points inside that comparison.
Okay, if you look at top 10% of black people, like you do realize like black wealth is not like a alarming statistic, right? Like when you start talking about top 10% of black wealth, it's not relatively high compared to other races. So
G, let me ask you this then. Do you think that
because 6% of black people make six figures, right?
So, cool. But
black Americans.
So when you start talking top 10% of black,
G, this will help paint the conversation. Do you think that the top 10% of black people in America are doing better than the top 10% of Nigerians?
Yes.
Okay, then if you take that as the starting point, and remember, we're not comparing all black people.
Yeah.
According to the video, like we're talking about the top 10% on both sides.
Top 10% basically means 80K and above.
That's not the top 10%. 80K.
If 6% of Black Americans make 100%,
I can take it again. When I looked it up, I think the top 10%
or
of
the
Black
6% of Black men make 100K. What's the number?
I'm not sure. I know when I looked it up, it said 140K would be like the top 10% of Black people in America, like annual salary average.
But can we answer this question though of like what are the African or the Caribbean immigrants getting that is launching their starting point ahead of them or making it an easier
They have less
path?
friction. They have less friction in their journey.
Less friction from who?
The systems in place.
Can I chime in here, please?
Yes, somebody.
Because okay, so as a so-called immigrant, as here, what G is saying is absolutely wrong. Right now, I know there's nuances to it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you a whole bunch of stories about how my mother and my parents were just as discriminated, just like the average Black person, so I don't understand what the less friction is, unless what you're trying to say is, oh, you have a Nigerian accent or a Ghanaian or a Guyanese accent. So, oh, you the good nigger. So, we're going to treat you different than the other ones, which is pretty much the FBA talking point. I'm not saying that's what you're trying to do, G, but that's what they say. That's a talking point that they have. So I agree with everything that the professor said. I totally agree. It's this trope. It's an American trope. Even people that are immigrants, and let's say they're like second, third generation here, it's an American thing where, if you're coming from a quote unquote third world country, you're just struggling person that's a refugee that had 2 nickels in your pocket and your shoes is beat up, yada, 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 yada. When that's not just the average person coming into here. So it is the top 10%. Now, it's a process of getting here. If you immigrate here, it's a whole process that is here, which takes connections, which takes money, and it takes a lot of red tape just to get here, to start from the bottom, depending on what your profession is. My parents were cops in our country. So obviously we just can't just transfer into, even though my father was a security guard at a hospital for years, you just can't transform into.
Was your family in the top 10% of your country?
I would say that we were above middle class.
So no.
Well, I don't know what, as far as like what suffice as top 10%.
Middle class ain't top 10%.
So again, I don't know. I will have to ask my father, whatever. But
Kofi, let me ask you this.
Sounds like working class family.
Yeah, this will go to the question. So you said like above, like slightly above middle class. What did that translate to in America?
Nothing. Nothing really. Pretty much with the president, my mother had administrative skills, right? So she had to go to school, start all over again, go to school, get degrees, because whatever degrees you have in those countries aren't honored over here. So you're starting from the beginning, right? She cleaned houses for white people, right? Went to school until she earned her way into better jobs, in corporate America, where she's got really good jobs. She worked for Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield, Marshall McLennan, ASCAP, all these places through going to school, starting all over again like a high schooler. Same thing. My father used to. We were in New York cleaning buildings for the super and doing odd jobs and working at the mall. Pretty much you start off as teenagers if you don't have any skills that could transform into something else that could be useful here. So if you're like a carpenter or something like that, or electrician, I guess you might have an easier time. I know people that were doctors and physicians. Again, they still gotta go right back to medical school because they're not. The United States not honoring a medical degree from somewhere else. You gotta start all over again. So
can I add something?
Yeah.
Like, and top percentage is not always financially too. It's educational in a lot of these areas where a lot of people are coming here and getting here based on their academic merit, but they're not coming from rich families. So I work at HBCU. Most people know, and our commencement next week. So every commencement, we feature our top performing students, the valedictorian, salutatorian, and the kids with the highest GPA. Our top 5 students at an all-black HBCU, all of them from Zimbabwe. I don't know what's up with Zimbabwe, but the top 5, all 4.0s, all computer science majors, all got jobs at Bank of America, Dell, Apple already when they graduated. But none of them come from money. You know, only one girl could fly her mom out from her side job. The other 2 boys, they're sad. They job ain't started yet. They can't afford to get their parents out here, but they all had to tell their stories. And they talking about how hard it was to get their visa, how, you know, Johnson, I don't want to say my school, my HBCU was the only one that would accept them. And,
Johnson and Wales, we know.
well, guys, Johnson University was the only school, you know, that would accept them in the U.S. and stuff like that. And so they none of them had no easy path. They worked, they got side jobs. Like, you know, another one of my students, she's a junior. She had to go back to London because her parents moved from Zimbabwe to London so she can renew her visa because of all the Trump shit going on and stuff. So, you know, and that's not to say that our FBA students are not dealing with struggles and shit too, but we can't make it seem like they come here and it's a red carpet rolled out, because them kids is like, they're coming from.
I said less friction. I said less friction specifically.
But it's not less friction. Like, you know, some of them have like I say, poor families and poor parents, and they're representing, like, they're the first of their families to come to America. Like, they never came before that and shit. Like, so.
But there's plenty to this day, black people who's in their family, they have yet to even touch a college, like here domestically in the States. Like, it's plenty of black families that don't have college educated people in the family domestically.
And I agree with that too, but the opportunity is closer there. They don't have to deal with, like, you know, finding a school that will accept them, that will help them get a visa, that will help them get a partial scholarship or anything like that. So it's like a lot of them are facing struggle too. Like, I don't want this conversation to be like, oh, immigrants are just coming here, especially black immigrants. Now, other immigrants, we can argue, get benefits and stuff. We know what's going on with the Latinos and everything, and what they was doing in New York and giving them vouchers and grants and housing and shit like that.
Indians with H-1B.
And at the same time, not doing that with Haitians and stuff like in the other side. So black immigrants don't get the same benefits as European and Spanish immigrants. Like, they are dealing with friction. They still get the same racism and stuff too.
I'm gonna ask a question, and I'll go to Quincy, Chikwe, and Steve first, and then we'll kind of continue around the panel. I
want to add in one more thing. Real quick. It's not even 20 seconds.
So, Kofi, I love you, but I think everybody was trying to jump in right there.
Cool.
So let me ask this question: does growing up in the quote unquote richest country in the history of the world, with the best average living standard of any collective group of black people, and the access to all the amenities that is America, equate to the American black having quote unquote more privilege than immigrants coming in?
All right, let me jump in. First, I'm gonna give a shout out to Kofi, because me and him have had some back and forth beforehand, and we was real quiet while the OG host was doing our back and forth. So shout out to you, Kofi, man, because I know we don't say eye to eye all the time. So, but to answer a few questions, Malcolm Gladwell has an article from about 1996 called "Black Like Them." Malcolm Gladwell is a Jamaican immigrant to America, where he speaks about how Caribbean immigrants, and this is specifically his experience up in New York, where he spoke about how they did have advantages over Black Americans up in New York, right? So that's that. So there is, I know a lot of times we try to say white people don't know the difference. White people know the difference. They've always known the difference. I mentioned this beforehand on your all's show. There's a video of Muhammad Ali speaking about how he was in, I think, Kentucky, and he couldn't eat in a diner, but he saw 2 Africans walk in and they was able to eat, but the Negroes weren't able to eat. So the whole idea of white folks can't tell the difference, that's false. They can. So that's that. The second thing is comparing the better comparison to your question was about, do Black Americans?
I can react it if you want me to.
Oh yeah, okay, go for it.
Okay, there's growing up, quote unquote, in the richest country in the history of the world with the best average living standards of any collective group of Black people and the access to the American amenities, I guess we'll say that, equate to a version of Black American privilege in comparison to everybody else in the diaspora, I guess.
Okay, so it's twofold. I will say yes, it is a privilege, but it's not a privilege that was handed to us. America ain't America without us, without our ancestors getting died, getting killed, raped, castrated, hung. America ain't America. So in any privilege we got, Black Americans got in America, we earned this shit. So anybody from the outside looking in that's jealous, that's saying y'all get the bees sitting in the belly of the beast, that's sitting fat like a fat rat. Oh, we done paid our dues. That's for anybody from the Caribbeans all the way to Africa. I don't want to hear it. We done paid our dues in blood, in this sand, in this dirt. So don't come to us talking about like it was handed to us. Nothing was ever handed to Black Americans. We paid for it. Our people have paid for it. And any Black American that's alive at this very moment right now, it's a miracle. From getting across the seas on the belly of those boats, to the centuries of being on the plantations, to this day, to Jim Crow, to this day.
You say they came from Africa, Quincy?
Oh yeah, no, I never say we didn't come from Africa.
Oh,
I've always said we came over here in the belly of the beast. We was matter of fact, we was the last stop. If y'all take a look at the transatlantic slave trade, look at the route, we was the last stop. So for us to make it and survive all the way from Brazil, which I believe was the first stop, to now to America, which was the last stop, you got to be some strong motherfuckers, man. Real talk. So we've earned everything that we got,
Gotcha.
So that's that. So, but
I just want to add real quick, and because I don't disagree with that, but to that Malcolm Gladwell point in the Jamaican thing, it's like, what happens when in New York specifically? What happens when these groups go to New York? They form.
He was talking about New York. Yeah.
No, with Malcolm Gladwell and the Jamaicans in New York having benefits is they go and they form communities there, become insular, and they put back into their own community.
That's what I mean by less friction, Black. That's exactly what I mean by less friction.
That had to do with friction. That's indicative of our culture and
no. Because you got to be able to come over here and get access to certain capital to create some of these businesses, permits, etc.
No, like you move in the same areas. You look out for your own people, and you create communities, and that creates your own benefits. Like what you gotta tell me what governmental benefits that they are getting when they come here.
Access to capital.
Can I jump in?
Access to capital. What credit do they have?
We both have the same access to capital.
We do not.
What's
immigrants have than Americans? Find it out really quickly when you say
the likelihood of getting approved for a small business loan is like, let's just use that as the example. Like why did the Democratic Party make such a big deal about creating a pool of small business loans specifically for Black people? Like, why is that such a big deal? It's because we have traditionally been like phased out and have been put in situations where it's just the data suggests we are less likely to get approved for the same amount of money.
So this has been happening since the 1980s.
Is there something that's saying that Black immigrants are getting approved at the same rate? The little bit of research that I did do, it said that in essence, when it comes down to housing practices, when it comes down to loan and different practices, though they're doing better than Black people, quote unquote, which again, this is the top 10%, that they're still below average, and they're still
So look, I'm not saying that
like racism.
I'm not saying they're treated as equal as whites. comparative to us, they have less friction. Is my statement.
But
that's my
you're
statement.
making a subjective statement with this less friction thing, but you're not giving anything.
I just gave you an example. Q just said.
Can I get your opinion, but nothing you have is backing up your opinion.
Can I make a point?
Steve, welcome to the show.
What's up?
Steve, before you go, I like to say that Quincy might be my favorite FBA. I ain't gonna say you. Shout out to Quincy.
Shut up, man.
Don't forget about Chuck though.
Shout out, Chuck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
FBA too.
Oh no, my matter of fact, let me stop real quick. My favorite FBA, he's MIA this week.
FBA Trey.
FBA Trey, yeah, that's the homie, that's the dog. Hopefully we'll see him back next week. He had things to attend to, but
hey, can I
running is Quincy. But
hey, I was
before
talking,
you go, Quincy,
something,
you said you wanted to finish. Go
yeah,
ahead.
because everybody jumped in. I promise you, I'm gonna just finish real quick.
Okay.
So I think the thing that a lot of us are overlooking, right, is that immigrants in general, take away, stay in America, right? When people move from city to city, I think y'all in Charlotte, right? When people move from city to city, that is the people who move are a certain motivated individual, right? For you to move from city to city, you're more motivated typically than the native of the city that you left and the city that you're moving to, right? So take that and expand it out to the countries. Typically, the people who move from country to country, they're going to be more motivated. They're going to tell their kids, like, "Hey, we didn't move across the whole world for you to come over here and BS." You know what I'm saying? So instead of trying to frame it like as if everybody else is just more motivated than Black Americans, the truth is immigrants and transplants in general, because if you look at the Black Americans who move over to Ghana, they see more opportunity in Ghana than native Ghanaians. You know what I'm saying? So I think instead of framing it like, FBA versus the people who move around America or move to America, like that's a false dichotomy or a false comparison from the get-go, because like I said, the people who move, they're already motivated. I didn't move from damn Ghana to Texas for my kids to go off and major in damn art. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. And even if you're moving from North Carolina to California, you ain't doing bullshit.
I commend you, Quincy. I commend you for that honesty. The only pushback I would give in my experience, because not everyone who's coming to America that's from the Caribbean or is African is for the same reason. My only thing would be when my parents came here, we were duped. According to my mother, I was like, why did we move to America? You know what I'm saying? If we were doing so good, we had 3 houses there and stuff like that. Why did we move here? And he said, people were coming back saying, oh, you make all this money in America. You can make more money in America than you can over here. So it's like, you know what? We got the money. We could do it. We have relatives there. Let's see if we can make more money there. It's not necessarily like, hey, not saying that's what you're saying. Oh, we're downtrodden here. Nothing's popping here or whatever. It's for every reason why everyone comes to America, even white people, which is not a part of this conversation because no one looks at white immigrants coming here. All immigrants come here for the same reason. So if my mother knew what was happening and if that the American dream is just that, a dream, she would have stayed where we were. But I just wanted to say, but I do commend you for your honesty and not conflating a lot of things that doesn't need to be compared.
Gotcha. I'm gonna throw to Steve. Steve, talk to us, brother.
Hey, yo, what's good?
Not much.
So to G's point, G is correct about there being less friction. The friction is typically experienced in employment. I posted the study in the chat in the perception of names when people going to get hired. Typical African-American names are perceived differently from continental African, specifically continental African names. So to sit up here and say it's not there's like to act like for him to say that it's less friction is just so far out there is like kind of crazy. Number two, we got to understand why people are using these narratives and what's the point of these narratives, and why I just like to avoid them altogether, because this is model minority speak, and typically is used against Black Americans to say, well, hey, you look at African who just came over here 2 days ago. He made it. Why can't you? And we should be really, if we're going to talk about it in context, we should talk about it, why these devices are prevalent and what's the point of them. The point of them is not nothing constructive. The point of them is to say Black Americans is blowing away their opportunity, which is crazy to me.
Read the last sentence, Q. I like that last sentence.
Which is crazy to me. If you understand anything about Black Americans, we don't even get access to the franchise until 1968. By the time 1968 come along, immigrants can come over here too in 1968. So this idea that we got like some grand head start is just like ahistorical. It's not based in any factual reality. Like the biggest wealth handouts in America was the Homestead Act of 1888. You had another Homestead Act in 1940, and then you had the New Deal, and then you had the Great Society programs. The largest transfers of wealth in the United States history, Black folks was largely left out of those. So where is this head start that everybody talking about? Then you
could definitely argue New Deal,
but then you just ignoring the history of Black Americans' very specific relationship with white Americans. We have a very specific relationship with white Americans that nobody, and y'all know I'm not no FBA dude. Y'all know I'm not one of them types. But like we gotta be historically accurate around here if we gonna like talk about it.
Talk to me.
But like first off, the name thing, the typical African American names is not Lakeisha. It's more Ashleys and Brittany's and white European Black names than quote unquote hood or ghetto or whatever.
Go read the study. If you
I'll let you talk. Hold on.
Go read the study. If you upset with the methodology,
argue with the methodology. I know. Let me finish. I'll let you speak. I didn't interrupt. Now, we all know how African names are treated in jobs and schools. Like nobody's looking at no African name and like putting them above a Johnny, a Quentin, a Jason, or any other the white names that we have out here. Like, so get that out of here.
Maybe Johnny, but Quentin definitely not.
Relax.
And then the whole history aspect and stuff. We talking about right now, and the same thing you bring it up about the history and stuff, and we don't have a head start. Nobody's told me what head start do Africans and Caribbean immigrants have either.
I claim less friction, so I don't want to move the field goal post either. He just gave you empirical evidence of where there's less friction. He just posted an empirical.
I posted the studies,
peer-reviewed study, and you at the university, right?
No, you can find any study to back y'all opinion. Like
so no evidence is good enough. So first you ask for evidence.
It agrees with you, but you didn't check no sources of this study. Steve put up a study and you say, "Oh, he posted a study." You don't. He just
posted the link. Hey Black, it's right there for everybody to see. It's right there for everybody to see. Q pulled it up on the screen.
Who can verify a study in 30 seconds?
You got it.
It's because if it's your
now we just question sources. Everything's fake news. Everything's fake news.
But I'm not even here.
African names are getting jobs over American names. Like,
hey, Black, I'm not even really here to I'm not even really here to argue the merits of this, right? I'm really here to argue: do we understand why this narrative could exist? It's model myth, like. It's like we understand the model minority myth when we talking about Asians. Like we understand that we conceptualize it. We know what the point of it is. But all of a sudden, motherfuckers act like the model minority myth doesn't exist when we start talking about Caribbeans and continental Africans.
But we
it's the same.
We're not
It's
ignoring
the
none
same
of that. We're
device.
not ignoring that. That's the initial video that popped this off with the doctor is saying that nobody's ignoring none of that. But if we're talking about the exceptions, these model minorities, even the word model is an exception. But this is not the rule of black immigrants coming into this country being the model minorities.
But A Black, the Journal of Social Psychology, volume 160.
Most Africans he know drive Uber drivers and taxis. He's not here right now.
So wait. So basically, if that study goes against what my experience is, that means I'm a liar.
No, it's not. It's not about you being a liar.
Y'all gotta chill because
it's not about you being a liar.
You ask for evidence. This man provides empirical, peer-reviewed research. And now all of a sudden, people are like, "I'm a liar." Like all y'all said was, "Where's the evidence that there's less friction?"
But I'm piggybacking off of that.
And then even I give you another prime example. That's even a step, even a deeper analysis of when you go compare English-speaking African immigrants to French-speaking African immigrants. Like there's a difference in the way in which those groups is treated. Like so
how are French speaking immigrants treated? Are they treated better?
French-speaking Africans have a lower chances than an English-speaking African.
Okay,
like G said earlier, it's just less friction.
I would love to see that.
You got the language barrier because
it's just less friction when you coming from these places that come from under British rule. Look at all the immigrants that we always talk about: the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Nigerians. Do y'all think it's a coincidence that those are also the immigrants that come from places that speak English, who were ruled by the British, who went to learn Queen's English? Like them motherfuckers not coming over here don't know no English?
Because
I find it very ironic.
The French Africans, they go to Paris. They go to French European countries. Yep. Like you go where you
Cameroon.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, can I add something? Can I throw something in there?
There's a much simpler explanation that you guys are missing here. But
let me.
Who is that? Chico. Let's let Chico hop in real quick. Then Quincy, we'll go to you.
All right. Yeah. Salute. Thanks for having me up. I'm gonna be real brief. First of all, Black Americans are the premium blacks, the blacks with the highest standard of living, highest income, the most wealthiest blacks on the planet. So shout out to Black Americans. But this all comes down to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And I posted in the back chat just in case you guys need a reference. So when African immigrants come here to America, they are
I know a psych major when I see him.
In the lower rungs of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They are looking to secure, food, shelter, clothing, primarily. Then they move up. Then, employment, resources. Then, a relationship, wife, children, and then they move up from there. Black Americans, because you're already the wealthiest blacks, you're already in the top two rungs of that hierarchy of needs. So you're looking for different things. Your focus is on different things. You're looking for esteem and self-actualization. You want, to be recognized, and you want, to change maybe your name. Maybe you want to be foundational Black American. Maybe you want to be, Black American Negro freedman. You're focused on the higher rungs of this hierarchy of needs, where if you're an immigrant, you're at the bottom three. So when you're focused on the bottom three, that translates into economic output, economic success in a way that focusing on the top doesn't. This is you're hungrier to just get the basics and build up from there. You don't have time to worry about esteem or politics or anything else. You're just worried about getting your housing in order, getting your employment in order, getting your education in order, getting your family in order. That's it. So this is the key difference between an African immigrant, and I would say a Caribbean immigrant too, and a Black American.
Speak for yourself.
But let me interject real quick, because the second ring says safety needs, and I would argue, regardless of how much money you had to do, this is the thing about being Black in America. Having money don't save you from being Black. And when it comes to Black people's safety in America, it's not something that we I don't think that that's a general consensus that the community feels overall safe. Like there's a lot of people that don't necessarily feel that way, especially when you talk about if a cop's behind you, etc., like things like that. So I can't say that the average black person is walking around feeling personal security based on their circumstances and the environment around them. I can't necessarily agree with that.
Really quickly. Shout out to a Discord legend, one of our favorites in the Discord, Fat Boy. He sent in a super chat. He said, shout out FBA Steve, FBA G, and FBA Quincy, holding it down in Trey's absence. Free FBA Trey.
Hey, I'm FBA too, Fat Boy.
you ain't making no FBA points, Johnny. You quiet over there. You getting white folks the nigga
Africa a little bit more.
You gave him the nigga pass earlier. I don't think like you got some trekking to do.
Just to land plane real quick. So
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, just to land. Okay, so African immigrants were just as black as in terms of when you look, you can't, a police officer can't tell this person is Nigerian, this person is Jamaican, this person.
Yeah, but you said that we're looking for esteem, and my point is that when I look at this rung that you brought up, and I read safety needs, it says personal security, no violence, crime, war, health and well-being. No, our health is not the best as a community. Stable environment. No, a lot of us don't come from stable environments. Financial security. No, we're actually one of the least financially successful here. In safety nets, which mostly the community doesn't have safety nets to fall back on. Like
my overall is that the immigrant is focused on the bottom three. You guys are focused on the top two.
That's what I'm saying. We're not focused on the top two. We still focused on safety needs too. You failing to realize that.
How? Yeah, I think your hierarchy thing is personalized. I don't think you can apply that to all people. Understanding people is not.
If you want to say that our bottom rung is taken care of, I'll give you that. Like most niggas, even if you not working, can get like housing somewhere and clean water. I'll give you that. But when you go right above that, read what it says: personal security, employment, resources, health, and property. Those are not rings that are checked for the black community in America. They're just not.
Yeah, I agree with G. Check away.
Hey, can I jump in? It's crazy for me to disagree to a certain degree. But I do actually feel like what's my guy who brought up the chart? I do think there's a lot of truth to it, and I mentioned it earlier that when you have a motivated people who leave a whole city and move to a whole other city, or more importantly, move from a whole other country to another country, they have different priorities and they have different than the people who actually lived where they land. I'm in Atlanta. Yeah, what's up?
That's a whole fact. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. I'm in Atlanta, right? I'm in Atlanta. So not only do I have people who move from whole other countries, like New York or California or wherever, we got folks who move from whole other countries who move here and from whole other cities. And so I do think it is like a different priority, like when you compare it to the native population. And I guess you can call it privilege. You can't call it privilege, where Black Americans, there is a certain I can't see the chart, but some of that stuff on the chart. Oh no, but some of that stuff on the chart, like a lot of times Black Americans ain't really, that's not like high priority for us. You know what I mean? Now, unless you're getting it out the mud, unless you just coming from some hard times and you really got some individual motivation to get it out, get it out the hood or whatever spot you come from, and you trying to make it. But I think overall there is like our bottom as Black Americans isn't the same bottom for Black immigrants. And
I don't think that they're the same bottom either.
What bottom is that specifically?
I don't think
like our bottom isn't we get deported and we going back to another country. Our bottom is we just stand in the hood, maybe in the projects or whatever. You know what I mean? Like
we gonna have running water and we can get food stamps, right? For example,
that's our bottom. You know what I mean? Versus like the Caribbean or African immigrant, like y'all's bottom is you get sent back wherever you came from,
Well,
where you came from.
I'm going to chime in there right there. Statistically speaking, American-borns commit more crimes than
that's not what I'm talking about, man.
Maybe that is a factor that scares them into it, but that's the statistic.
Come on, Kofi.
That's the statistic.
We was doing good, Kofi.
We was doing good, Kofi.
Why are we getting mad at facts? I'm not trying to like throw shade or anything like that.
But I think that it detracts from the
numbers lie too.
But really,
that's not true.
I think it like to avoid from taking steps backwards. I feel like we're actually building somewhere.
Wow, I think that y'all don't like. Y'all just get triggered.
No, but like, so Kofi, if you want,
what was the relevance?
I didn't say no
relevance. Nobody was taking nobody was taking no shots at Africans, and all of a sudden you just come out of nowhere and say black folks is just criminals.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
All right, fellas, listen. We'll revisit this point. I do think that Quincy made an interesting point when it came down to the idea of Black American privilege, and not just where the bottom could be at, but how there is the privilege of taking certain things. If we use the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, taking certain things for granted. If we say like the bottom one or two things, in comparison, like, for example, and I think that he used a great example with people moving, where if we talk about, and we probably all know some people that move to either New York or they move to LA in pursuit of a career, right? Or Atlanta, honestly. It's another spot. And them moving to those spaces in pursuit of the career, as soon as they hit ground, they know they about to get that call center job and they about to work their ass off, and every waking hour that they have outside of that, they're going to be trying to hit whatever street to find opportunities to get this entertainment or whatever job, right? They come in feet to the ground, running, motivated to get a thing done. In comparison, there is a bunch of people in, let's say, LA or Hollywood with that exact same dream. But the luxury of growing up around it becomes a place where you could take something for granted and become docile inside the idea of what's readily available to you and the opportunity that it is just to be within proximity.
But just to piggyback off that, if you're an immigrant, you don't have the luxury of self-actualization. You don't even have the luxury of those top two things. Maybe the next generation will, but if you're first generation, you're just trying to establish the bottom three rungs, and maybe your children can reach those top rungs.
I disagree with that, because you're trying to say that can't be accomplished in one lifetime, and that's not true.
Okay, for some people, but I'm saying for most people, if you are an adult and you come to this country, a strange man in a strange land, and you have to establish everything, you come with nothing. You got to build from the ground up. It's going to take your entire life to hit that self-actualization, where if you're born in this country, you have access to those top two rungs quicker.
So what's the mark where, when you first come into this country, where's the mark where you can finally sit back and relax and say, you know what, I could partake in other functions in America? I would say, okay, I got here, I have education, I have a good paying job, and I have a pretty decent home. From that point on,
can you retire early? Can you do you have to work until you're 65, or can you stop working in your 40s?
Okay, but I think what you're not understanding is that that's a good goal. Most people in this country cannot retire early. That's the goal, to retire early. But most people don't retire early. They work until they're 60, 62, 65 and collect unemployment. If they have a pension, that's fine.
Most people don't even have the funds when they retire. They just retire. Like they don't even have necessarily like it planned out financially after that. It's just that they done working.
Like my aunt, she's first generation, right? She was born again, and she came here when she was pretty much an adult. She retired probably like 5 years ago, but she had a good job with a pension. You see what I'm trying to say? So she's she's fine right now. Most people in America cannot retire early.
Hey,
Okay.
can I jump in real quick?
Okay,
Real
go
quick.
ahead. Go.
All right. So I'm jotting down notes while we talking, man. One of the biggest things is that Black immigrants tolerate more than Black Americans. I know y'all like to act like y'all like,
Stop.
y'all.
Tolerate what?
Hey, look, you can sit here and act like y'all play it tough.
No,
and
I'm not acting. I don't have to act for you. I'm acting. You made a claim.
Come on,
I'll let you go ahead.
Look, you one person. You are one person speaking for
No.
your sphere.
I'm not speaking for. Sphere. No, unlike you, I don't see people as a monolith. Or I saw 5 of them, so they all act like that. I think that's where you're coming from. So I'm asking you to clarify, what do you when you say talk about your own experience and what you've witnessed?
Okay.
Because I could say the same thing in reverse. But I don't look at all Black Americans as coons and kissing white people ass. I don't do that. I looked at everybody as an individual person, knowing that they are not representative of everybody.
We was on a good path. And you get
let him finish his point, man. Let him finish his point.
So my main point. So my main point is, Black immigrants they're not saddled. Like who was it mentioned that earlier, that Black Americans, we deal with white Americans our whole lives. Our uncles, our aunties, our grandparents, we all got stories about crackers. It is what it is. We all got stories about it, right? And that does spill into our mindset, right? And that is like a 180 dichotomy from people who move voluntarily, leave a whole Black country, right? Whether it's African or Caribbean, you left a whole Black country to come to America. It's 2 different mindsets. And the fact is, like, for real, like, they do have a higher threshold of what they deal with and what they accept from white America. A lot of the small transgressions that Black Americans will call out, they'll let it ride. And just to be real with you, I can't remember who I told this to, but I mentioned, I said, look, I was looking at the Oscars one time, right? The past Oscars, and I saw the lady who was the voice of April O'Neil in the Ninja Turtles, and I saw what's your girl who played Harriet Tubman, and I told my lady, I said, hey, one of my biggest concerns is that Black immigrants will come in and they are willing to play the game in ways that Black Americans won't, because we go draw a line somewhere. We gonna let y'all know this ain't cool. That little joke you made, that shit ain't cool. You know what I mean? Black Americans will draw a line in ways that Black immigrants won't, right? And my fear is, because white America, this is America, right? Because white America has the biggest platforms, the worldwide platforms, and if you have Black immigrants come in and they're willing to play the game, that they in a weird way they would usurp Black representation, and they'll just take our spot. You know what I mean? Like, as much as Black Americans have done to fight, for what the little slice of the pie that we've had in America, Black immigrants will come in and they'll play the game in ways that we won't play it. Like Denzel Washington, that made it clear it's stuff he won't do. You know what I'm saying? And if we see it, if you're looking right now, it's clear that Hollywood is leaning, and this is like specifically about Hollywood. It is clear that Hollywood is leaning towards like Black British actors, and that's no coincidence.
They pay them less too. They pay them a whole lot less too. But go ahead.
But also Black British actors with like they they play the game in ways that we don't play the game. That's all I'm saying. That their tolerance is higher than our tolerance. It's a lot of stuff that we'll call out that they won't call out.
I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that, because like I've gotten into with Africans over this, because large times they come from places where they're the majority. So culturally, they don't typically fully understand our relationship with white people, the shit we deal with white people and stuff. And because, like Quincy said, they are willing to, I'm not going to say, be bitches or nothing like that, but the things that, we would stand up for or be against sometimes, it's not a big deal to them because they're coming from places where they see white people differently. Although they have colonization, some of them might even have full control over there. They're still like the visual, the optical majority from where they're coming from. Whereas we kind of been fighting. We've been fighting. Like you can go as far as Africa. I don't know about the Caribbean as much, and you cannot see white people for weeks, for months, and stuff if you want. So that is some truth to that. That if you come with that mindset of like this whatever, then you might rise a little faster or a little higher in certain areas, and then also the white people might be more tolerable towards you because like, all right, I can treat this African any kind of way, and he gonna accept it. And what we would see as maybe demeaning or disrespectful, they're not maybe looking at it fully as that. It's like it's still a job for me. I'm still getting paid, and and they might not even be catching some of the cultural nuances and the disrespect that we would from white people because they're not around them as much. But I've gotten into it Africans. I don't like how some Africans, even treat some white people. But I also understand, why it's that way. So it's some truth to what he's saying,
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Black. I appreciate that.
So what I agree with what he's saying, except for again this FBA thing with their generalizations. Because I'm
Black American. Stop saying FBA, man, please.
Always exception.
Again, even if you're not
Quincy,
FBA,
I didn't know you, man. Quincy, man, hey, yo, Quincy, you a real. Hey, I fuck with you too, bro, man. Hey, man, go ahead, man. I interrupt.
Yeah, Kofi.
Okay, you may not be FBA, fine, understand that, but the points you're making align with FBA ideology is what I'm saying. Because you're making generalizations, right? There's no nuance into what you're saying. Everything is just a generalization. So I'm not saying what you're saying is a total lie. Even what A Black is saying, again, it's not a total lie. But at least there's nuance in what he's saying. You're making generalizations. So when you say tolerance, I could say the same thing. In my experience, I've seen Black Americans that have those same attributes of those Africans that would take ish from white people. I've seen a lot of white or Black Americans take a lot of shit from white people. And I'm not gonna say, unlike you, well, because they're this and they're from that. I have family in Georgia. I lived in Georgia for a while. I live in Gwinnett County, right? I have family that lived. I had an uncle that told me one time he installs security systems. He said he went to an old Black couple's house one time. It was him and this white dude, right? He went there. It's a old black couple. The old Black ladies looking at him. I'm not trying to show shade, Johnny, or anything like that. Just to give you a picture, my uncle was like Johnny's complexion, right? He went with a white boy. The old woman was just giving him nasty looks. The old woman gave the white boy a drink. Say, do you want something to drink? The white boy was like, yeah, I want something to drink. Thank you. Didn't offer him anything, right? So I'm like, that's insane. That's crazy. I'm not gonna be like you, where all Black Americans from the South, especially Georgia, they take, saying they still think that it's still the Reconstruction. They still acting like they sharecroppers. That's ignorant to say. There's nuances and there's nuances. Yeah.
I think what you're saying is true, man. It's always exceptions. I think overall that Black Americans have a more defiant spirit. I think if we go back to our early conversation of soft power, our real soft power was and is like our revolutionary spirit. When we talk about civil rights and we talk about how we rebelled, we inspired the diaspora. Like it's many Black African leaders that will tell you that they was inspired by Martin and Malcolm and these leaders. So we are naturally more defiant because we've had like more resistance and up closeness to white power that's kind of created this spirit. Are there Uncle Toms and Coons and people that bow down now? Of course, like it is on both sides. But I think overall, like one of our things, our biggest export is our revolutionary spirit, is that defiance that we don't take the same shit that everybody take. And yeah, you can find some niggas that can and will, but overall, like that's generally not how we are. I think that's what he's saying is like you have people that come over here, they are more docile, they are more submissive, and they will take some shit that we won't take. And that's not even just Africans. You got the Mexicans that will do it too. You got other cultures and immigrants that will take the shit too, because they haven't had the close proximity for generations to whiteness that has created this spirit of like, yo, we've been taking this shit. So yeah, you're not about to get that off with us. Otherwise, a lot of that shit is new, and it will grow in them too eventually. But they ain't been dealing with it for like 400 years. Like they might have been here for 40 years or 40 years and shit.
But it seems like you're saying is like what you're saying is that it's like it's like you're saying something, but you're taking back what you're saying. Yeah, there's Uncle Tom's, but we had a history of dealing with white people directly 400 years to this current day. So again, even with that said, you still got Uncle Tom's, which is like a bunch of, as well as black immigrants that come here. That's also Uncle Tom's. The common denominator is that in black society, you got Uncle Tom's. So doing this. Well,
but they're not that influential. Like they're really the exceptions. Like when we talk about the revolution and shit, that's always been a small part of any community. The people that revolt, the people that march, the people that kind of cause these things.
Dude, we have a little bit of hold on. We have a little bit of Pan-African versus Pan-African thing. I do understand the influence that Black Americans have had. Remember, America is the biggest stage in the world. So anything that happens, especially where Black people know the history of what Black people have been through here, is going to be magnified. But I don't think other African and Caribbean nations is looking to see what Black Americans are doing to see what they're going to do next in their own places. Like in places like that, no one's thinking about Black Americans. No one's thinking about them.
Yeah. Let me hop in really quickly. So because again, the conversation is moving smoothly. I don't really want to hop in and do too much directing, but just to where everybody kind of is able to get their input in. Y'all see the timer at the bottom. It's a minute and a half on each one, to where when a new person kind of starts speaking, I'm gonna just click it. When it ends, I'm gonna just give you the signal like that, kind of end your point, and then we'll jump over to the next person, just to make sure everybody kind of says their piece. We do have someone new to the panel, another one of the favorites. Shout out, he just joined the Discord. Make sure that y'all join the Discord. Unc, what's going on? I'm gonna push the timer. Talk to us.
Yeah,
what up?
What's going on, everybody? What's up? Yo, I was listening to what everybody's saying, and everybody's kind of getting upset about immigrants and different things, but it is somehow, even though the way Kofi's saying that they came over here and they struggled and they did, but that's not everybody's story. That's his story. And that might be just his, it might not be like everybody might not come over here and get the same things and go through the same way, but it is some ways, sometimes it is an easier path for certain people, even though some of them are people of color. And with that being said, it's just different stories with that. But speaking of we talking about the English people coming over here and taking, doing, it's because American Black society is the most copied people that's out here. And if you look at it, all those Black actors that's coming over here, they're getting paid less. They're copying just American Black culture. So with that being said, with them getting paid less, what they're actually doing is they're making the market less lucrative for Black actors that's here in the United States. But they are doing such a good job at mimicking Black Americans that what's the need? If I could pay this person this, it's just what it is. No matter what goes on in whatever society, the person say what they want to say. The world, all right, the world mimics Black people and loves to mimic us, and that's it.
Gotcha. Quincy, I think you want to hop in, then we'll go to Steve.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, you know what? Piggybacking off of what he just said about, mainly Black British acting in America, I've always had that thought that we always say, hey, well, don't buy where you're not hired. So if Hollywood won't hire Black Americans, then I'm not supporting the movie. I'm a bootleg it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. So
you went to the movies to see Sinners, didn't you?
Oh, well, come on. That's Michael B. That's Michael B. Judd. Oh, I saw Sinners twice in the movies, and I 100% had a bootleg that I done watched about 17 times. So, you know, I love that movie. I love that movie, man.
Hey, send a copy over. I need the bootleg too.
Man, look, hey, real talk, man. Look, I missed y'all broadcast last week. I was late. I was working on some in the basement, man. I missed it. I was trying to call in, man, but I was late, so that's on me. So then circle back. I forgot, somebody made a point about something, but I jotted down that no one moves to America to fight the system, you know. And I think when we talk about Black Americans and our history and just spirit of fighting against injustice in America, I think we really got to understand one of the biggest things we got to understand. And Kofi, you can feel how you want to feel about this, man, but dude, nobody from the Caribbeans to Africa to India to Asia to Australia to the UK to across the world to China, nobody moves to America to help us fight this fight, man. Like, we done had this fight with these white folks.
They moved to be a part of it.
Right. They 100%. And this is the thing. They literally.
We're gonna come back to you. Man. Here into the time.
Can I go after Steve?
Yeah, we'll go. Steve, Kofi, Johnny. Did you want to hop in, or we'll go back to Quincy?
No, I'm just listening. This is a great combo.
Okay. No, yeah. We'll go Steve, Kofi, Quincy. Steve, talk to us.
So just to wrap up my final point, the original question, is it a useful comparison? Simply for me, it's a no. I just believe it's a divisive narrative, and typically is not used in good faith. It's usually used in bad faith against whatever you want to call them, African Americans, B1, whatever we going by. And so that's why I typically don't like to engage in it, because I do feel like it's just like that's what it's typically being used for. When we can just, because if we want to just nitpick, like the dude said in the original video posted, and we go top 10% for top 10%, it's not even like close. That's just, that's the reality of the math. And I really don't have, I pretty much agree with what a lot's being said up here, but that's all I had to add to it, man.
Okay.
It's not useful. Just so we can all say we answered the question. I don't know if everybody answered the question, but I don't think it's a useful comparison at all. That's pretty much it.
No, for sure. Shout out Steve. We do go on wild tangents, and they can kind of take us anywhere. But Kofi, I think that you wanted to respond to something Quincy said. Then Quincy, you had the floor to kind of rebuttal back.
So basically, I want to go back where this whole narrative of Black British actors only going in on Black American actors, which is false. I don't know what things you think is false. So anyone look at The Walking Dead, the guy, the main character, I even know he was British. He's a British actor. If you guys are into Marvel, Daredevil, that guy, he's also a British actor. So exactly. No one's saying white people aren't saying, oh, you got these English people but pretending to be white Americans. It's only us saying that nonsense. It's a job. They're looking at another market. They're trying to get people from another market. And to me, that takes a lot of talent to convincingly sound like someone that you're not. That is the art of acting, right? I also wanted to say to what Quincy was saying. He's again lying again. He says he's not FBA, but it's another FBA talking point saying that no one comes here to fight. He's forgetting about Marcus Garvey. He's forgetting about Stokely Carmichael. He's forgetting about Kwame Nkrumah. He's forgetting about all these people that were here from the diaspora that supported civil rights. And I pretty much agree with Steve. This is a good conversation to have, but it is a divisive conversation. And only people is winning is white supremacy, because white people will have this type of conversation, but they know there's bigger fish to fry. They know that they're the global minority, and their manipulation and influence is the only thing that's keeping them on top. And us engaging into the validity of saying like, well, you're a Black this and you're a Black that, you're not Black like me, is just insane. That's it. Thank you.
All right. Quincy, talk to us.
All right, man. Damn, man. Kofi was doing so good, man. All right, man. So look. All right. Last thing. White folks got 1,000 channels on TV, and for every channel they got 100 shows. So I don't care about what white folks do. That ain't my problem. My problem is that when like black folks have limited opportunities in America, in Hollywood, and black folks around the world, specifically in the UK, make their problems our problem. They make their problem that they don't have opportunities in their country. They make it our problem by running over here and competing with us. So that is what it is. So another thing, man, look, when I say I'm not FBA, I am FBA by definition, right? But when I say I'm not FBA, I'm saying that I was with the delineation movement before FBA was even the acronym was even created. You know, I mentioned to y'all beforehand, it was Serene Sensei that really opened my eyes to like Black Americans being a specific ethnicity, being a
Yeah,
specific.
I thank you for this because I say this often that like the reparations movement and these conversations didn't just start.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
Like if you've been around, like some people feel favorable and some people feel unfavorable at HBCUs. But like since I was on campus, these are conversations that were being had, and there were thought leaders that were having these conversations. But yeah, didn't mean to step on it.
It's all good. It's all. We talked beforehand. I think you like a tad bit younger than me. These conversations weren't had back when I was in school. That's why I say Serene Sensei around 2016, 17, 18 was when I was exposed to it, you know. And for me, you know, like I said, it's the delineation movement, right? And the way I look at it, y'all could take it with a grain of salt. Take it how you want to take it. Dude, the FBA is kind of like the guards at the kingdom. They're protecting the culture, right? And then the ADOS, they're like more like the higher guard who gets into like the politics of stuff. That's what ADOS is. Like I don't do too much with ADOS, you know, these days, but I know that Yvette Cornell, that's what they on to right now.
Yeah, you're saying that each part of the movement has its own
right
usefulness and purpose.
Right, but the movement itself is delineation of Black Americans to let everybody know, hey, we are our own ethnicity, our own culture that y'all can't stake claim to, as just like your Caribbeans. The Caribbeans came from the transatlantic slave trade. Y'all came from that just like we did. So you know, if y'all can be unique and stand on your own, then we can too. That's ultimately what I'm saying. What I'm saying now.
Can I respond to that?
Dude, ain't nothing to respond to. Ain't nothing to respond to.
And then we'll go to G.
Yeah. Basically, the whole. I have no problem. Again, I say this over again. It always falls on deaf ears to people who have your ideology. I am not against any Black people, unlike other people may feel against getting reparations. How you get? Because we got the same enemy. My problem to you in that your description of it is that to delineate in order to recognize that you're your own people, the world already knows your own people. You said you've been saying this over and over again. CARICOM, Black people from the Caribbean didn't have to throw Black Americans on the bus or throw Africans on the bus to have a claim. So what I'm saying, what you're saying, I'm not saying that's your intention, but I find it very hateful and disingenuous in saying, well, you know what, some other people that is my open enemy did something to me, but these other people that also suffer the same thing, I'm gonna throw them under the bus so I could outshine them for some reason. I don't get it. No one is infringing or can infringe on your claim of what's happening to Black Americans in America. And it's go back to what Steve said, is a very divisive type of rhetoric, because no one, even if you have someone from the Caribbean saying, well, I want reparations too from America, they're freaking idiots. Why would you give credence and validate what they're saying. Vice versa. Someone from North Carolina goes to Guyana or Jamaica and say, well, I want reparations for CARICOM. Those are idiots. Why? It just doesn't make any sense what you're saying. That's it.
Gotcha. All right. G, talk to us.
Is there a question or?
Oh, I was just throwing, like, I can re-ask the question, or I think you've already given your general take on it. You could just kind of go with the conversation evolves to, or if not, I can throw it to one of the guys.
Yeah, I don't have a response to what was said.
Say it again.
I don't have a response to what Quincy and Kofi was just talking about.
Johnny, can't hear you, brother, man.
No, I ain't got no response. I was just listening.
Oh man, you called in, then you dropped back out. Keep going, Johnny.
Nah, I ain't.
I throw it back there. I throw it to Unc there.
No, re-ask the question. I see.
I think that the main question is comparing Black Americans to Black immigrants a good comparison?
No, it's not. I mean, I think it's a different struggle. There's some similarities. I think, there's different things we can learn from each other, but like a comparison, it's a totally different struggle, and it's a totally different. A lot of immigrants are dealing with colonial stuff. They're dealing with whatever thing happened in their particular country. A lot of them, when they come here, they've dealt with that, so they have a different set of skills than a lot of people that are here that are currently dealing with the oppression. So the compare, I don't think it's a fair or a good comparison. I think there's things that Black FBA people could learn from the diaspora. I think it's a lot of things the diaspora could learn from, FBA.
You ain't never getting your FBA card, Johnny.
Hey, fuck what y'all talking about. I'm lineage,
good, Johnny. You're doing good, Johnny.
I'm lineage.
I'm joking, Johnny.
Y'all can't take something.
Listen, you threw the perfect alley right there. It's a joke. Though.
Yeah, I get it. But
I agree with the sentiments, but
my joke
was there. You laid that one out.
My joke is that I'm lineage, and I can say whatever about FBA, and y'all ain't gonna take my lineage away.
But they got words for you too.
I got words for them too.
He'll tell the weather. Yeah, you
a tether lover.
I ain't got nothing. I ain't say nothing about. I love me.
I hear you, brother. I hear you, brother.
Yo.
That's funny
though. Talk to us.
Yeah, I don't think it's a fair comparison between the two of them, and you can't really compare because they'll never know our struggle because they ain't been here, and they want to know it, and they'll tell you that they going through it, but nobody will ever know the struggle of those of us that can go back and look generational back and see what we've been through. Yes, we might have some comparisons, but nobody goes through what we go through, because regardless of what, like I have said before, we are the only people on this whole earth that others that look like us to come here and look down on us. Nobody else is treated the way we are treated, but yet we are the people that control almost everything for us, fashion, whatever that goes on out here. Everybody mimics us, but no one wants to be exact us, but they want to be like us. It's the most ignorant thing in the world. And to me, that's why you can't compare it, because no one's trying to be like nobody else. But you look around the world, everything that people do, our culture is the culture that's mimicked more than anybody in the whole world. But everybody look down on it. It's people are stupid, to me, for that.
Yeah. Can I ask Unc a question?
He got 15 seconds. After the 15 seconds, you got it.
Now I do understand. Like with Paul Mooney, everybody want to be a nigga, but nobody want to be a nigga, right? So I totally get it. But again, you're using general terms. So you saying someone that was here from from let's say the 1900s or to the late 1800s, They don't understand the black struggle, the black American struggle is what you're saying?
That's what you're asking me?
Yeah.
You saying that someone that hasn't been here, anybody that's been here,
someone that has been here since the turn of the 19th century. They
that's
don't
what
know.
I'm trying to answer your question. I'm saying if someone has been here for over 100 years, they're kind of almost graduated into it. They've been through it. They've seen it. If you've been here, if your family's been here for 100 years, you damn near you less than 50 years, or you know what I'm saying, almost 100 years. You kind of close to when slavery ended. So you kind of got the grasp of whatever from there. You're no longer you're not an immigrant if you've been here 100 years.
All right, so you kind of consider to my point because there were people, not a lot, but there were people from Africa and the Caribbean that were already here. So what
is your point? You're not making a point. You're just making a statement.
Fellas, before y'all go into like a deep back and forth, Old Man has entered the building. Old Man, talk to us.
1, 2, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Where is A Black TV? He always gets off this panel when I get up on here.
He's scared. He's scared. He running.
I don't understand where he's coming from, because it's obvious, especially if he works in the university system. There's scholarships specifically for Caribbeans, Haitians, Africans that FBAs can't get, but all of those people qualify for our scholarships. So right there is an example. You don't need any documentation. You guys provided documentation. What's his problem?
Can you name me those scholarships? This has been something that's
you research it and come back next Wednesday, okay?
Okay, so you don't have the name of them.
Listen. You research it and prove me wrong.
No, I shouldn't have to prove your own.
No, sir.
You made a
Stop
claim,
being difficult.
So I'm just
Stop
asking
being smart
what
at
it
it.
is.
Coffee. I was going to get to you next. Don't worry, you'll have your minute.
You're not giving me anything.
Calm down, young man. Calm down. So this is what I'm trying to say. All this stuff is obvious. Coffee, you know that exists in the university.
I don't know anything. I'm asking.
Did you go to university?
Tell me.
Google it.
You're on mute. Pod, G-Pod.
Yo, Kofi, just let this nigga go for a minute. Pause. Like, just don't cut him off for a second.
Just let him go, Kofi. We let you go.
All right, so I do have a question for Kofi. Kofi, we don't need your permission to do whatever we want to do or to do what we feel we need to do.
Just don't include me. Just say what you're gonna say.
No, this was my next response.
Let you go.
This was my next response. This is outside of the A Black University thing. We don't need your permission. So why do you think we need your permission?
You sound very insecure because I never either said that.
How you present
that? I'm responding to you now.
Okay, go ahead, son.
You sound very insecure.
Go ahead.
Because I never implied or insinuate that anybody needs my permission for anything. This is just a conversation that we're having and we're just hashing out. All the thing I would say, my contention in this whole conversation, that people are on a monolith and you can't use one standard for everybody. And that's on all sides. That is my contention and my objective in this conversation.
Okay, when we talking specifically about foundational Black American or Black American, if you don't like the word foundational, what makes you think your voice matters in this if you're not of our lineage?
Because I could fucking say whatever the fuck I want, and I'm able to talk. And just like I'm still responding, just like how I can't tell you what to say and what to think. You can't tell me what to say and what to think and what conversations that I could have. Just like how I can't do that to you, you can't do that to me.
Hey,
it's called America.
It's America, bro. Let me finish my point. So,
I got you really quickly.
If I go to Jamaica, talking about Jamaican shit, do I have a right to talk about that?
Repeat that again.
If I go to Jamaica and start talking about their lineage and what they need to do and how I feel it should be like, do I have a right to do that?
You could do whatever you want with Jamaica wants.
Is it a valid response?
If you live in Jamaica and there are Black Americans in Jamaica that go there. I go to Jamaica and there's Black Americans there, cool, and they want to say something about Jamaica. The Jamaican people are one of the most friendly people. They would answer you, especially if you're just curious. They will answer you. They won't get
changing what I said.
They won't get
It's all right.
belligerent.
Go ahead.
I'm still answering. They won't get
Changing everything I
belligerent.
said. It's all right.
I'm still responding to you. They won't get belligerent.
That's a
From
lie.
my experience, they won't get belligerent
That's a lie.
and just
Stop
go
being
crazy.
foolish,
They'll
man.
say,
That's
"Hey, okay,
crazy.
this is what you misunderstand about Jamaica," and they'll correct you. From my experience,
that's a lie. That's a lie.
Thank you. It's a lie.
that's your
That's a
experience
lie.
is different. Your experience
Dude,
is different.
I've seen news clips of Jamaicans going off on Haitians showing up in their country. They've been real loud. They've been real loud.
Of Black Americans treating
we
Caribbeans
talking
bad.
about Jamaicans right now. I've seen new clips of Jamaicans being real loud and vocal about the Haitians showing up in their country unwelcome. So
that happens in my country too. So is that indicative of all Jamaicans?
It's indicative. Yes, it is.
All right, so you're ignorant.
Yes, it is.
So you're
Yes,
ignorant.
it is.
So you're just plain ignorant.
Yes, it is.
You're ignorant with a capital N. Just being ignorant.
All right, fellas. Let's not devolve the conversation. I think that we've had a fairly decent conversation thus far. Like we'll kind of try and keep it to the no ad hominems after show. Those are after show activities. If you hop into Discord, unfiltered chat, those are unfiltered chat activities. Here we're gonna refrain from it. Let's try and stay to the topics and again, refrain from any version of ad hominems. But if y'all want to continue engaging, all right. So matter of fact, before y'all continue engaging, old man, in the conversation, I guess what does make all things fair is that this is a comparison between two separate groups. So in essence, it does invite both groups to talk about each other, where this isn't like a specific FBA only conversation or Caribbean diaspora only conversation.
So it is and it isn't. Every time we're on here, we're talking about how everything relates to FBA, right? So I think if we're going to be fair, you should have something that only a panel discussion one of these Wednesdays that only talk about something Caribbean or wherever Kofi's from, his ancestors are from, so we can get all up in their business and see how he like it. That's what we need to do. Right now, he all up in our business for no reason, just to be a part of something. You're not included.
Maybe, but so.
But this conversation.
Man, to be fair though, like last week as well was a comparison of two separate groups. It was the diaspora and FBA. It was kind of revolving around, I think, like the origins of Black spirituality and Black music per se, but it spoke about both sides of it. Same with this, where it was derived from not a news clip, but an IG clip, but it was the comparison of the top 10% of both not Caribbean, but the diaspora and Black Americans, and if it's a fair comparison. So like, again, I understand where the conversation gets convoluted, where if we're only talking about FBA things and it's only FBA business. But again, right now it's an open forum. I don't want to alienate the conversation.
Can I ask a question? Because I have a real quick question. It's open to the panel. See if this will move the goalposts without any hostility. Unc kind of said something on that. He said, "Hey, have you been here for like 100 years or so like that? You kind of understand the experience." And I do understand, and I do admit there are some Black immigrants that come here that do not know American history, and that's detrimental because white people look at us as all the same. And yes, if they, just like Black Americans who may not know or honor their history and their ancestors, white supremacy will use them against them. Yes, but there are Black immigrants that come here that don't know anything, right? So my question is, piggybacking off what Unc says, if you have someone that's been here, grew up here from, let's say they're first generation American or whatever, right? And they live with Black Americans, good-minded Black Americans that understand the struggle, and they soak up all their knowledge. Wouldn't you say that first generation immigrant in America would just be as good as a Black American? Is just
can I respond to that?
Yeah.
No.
And can I ask a
Sometimes
question?
no, and the reason,
Please elaborate. Please elaborate.
The reason why I said no is because you haven't been here long enough. You haven't been here long enough. You don't really know it. What you're doing is you're walking while everybody else is running. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I don't understand that analogy.
What I'm saying is
but I don't understand that analogy.
What I'm saying is that, you know what I'm saying, the black people, they moving differently. They know different things and they've been through different struggles. You coming up and you might catch the brunt of what's going on bad with them or whatever, but at the same point, it's still not the same. It's still not the same. And
what's not the same?
It's not the same because they're really, you know what I'm saying, they're really not from here.
John, you get that, but you're not breaking down what's not the same. That's why I'm not.
Their heritage is not the
hold
same.
on, oh man, hold on. Now to answer Kofi, I think like you have a right to have your opinion, like especially like your family have been here. You have a right to have an opinion on what you see and what you observe. But when it comes down to like we talking about the movement, we talking about reparations, we talking about what's owed. There's a lineage-based thing that goes into it as far as when we're talking about what's owed to the lineage. You don't really have a right to tell us what we're owed and what we're not owed. You can, it's okay if you want to, give advice and you.
But John, you're doing a false dichotomy. I never said reparations once, right? I never said reparations.
I also think that he thinks that like FBA people should get specific reparations for slavery.
Right. That's not I could have an opinion. And I think Trey and I spoke about this before, and he kind of conceded to the point. If we're all getting reparations from the same people, right? I asked them if let's say for argument's sake that that Caribbeans get reparations first, and we got it. This is the path, and this is how we get it. I expect Black Americans do the same thing. Vice versa. Black Americans get reparations. Like, look, this is the path that we did, whatever. We got it from these white people like that. I expect CARICOM to do the same thing. We're in the same fight. So that I never even mentioned reparations, right? So as far as reparations for Black Americans, I have no dog in that fight because I'm not getting it. The only dog in the fight that I would like to see you get it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you get it, I know eventually I'm going to get it. Vice versa. That's how I am as a Pan-African. I'm not selfish. You know what I'm saying?
And I want to congratulate or thank you for that because that wasn't always your take.
That's also a lie.
So, bro, when you were calling yourself FBA killer, don't think we forgot. You were not talking like
that. I am. I killed the bull.
You were not talking like this, bro. I've been listening for a while now. You can change your images, your name. I know your voice. I hear you on different channels, bro.
Good. And I'm glad you do, bro.
Can I ask a question?
And I'm still an FBA killer.
Right, Kofi a vampire? Hey, is Kofi a vampire? Did we let this nigga in the house?
Don't let him in.
You did.
I'm fucking.
Is this nigga hiding in plain sight?
Yep.
Nah, I don't hide. I don't suffer from draftomania.
I ain't gonna lie. Hey, shout out, old man. You an OG listener for sure. That's like season 1.
FBA killer crazy.
Almost
that's
a year
wild.
ago.
That's
I killed that ideology. No,
I appreciate that.
And I still stand by that way for a while. He been holding.
Yeah, because the ideology the ideology does change depending on what Tariq Nasheed says. But yeah, I stand by it.
Hey, can I please ask a question though?
Yeah, what's going on, Quincy?
Right. So this is my main question. This has been a generic question I've had ever since the delineation conversation has started, right? Kofi, I'm asking you directly. Is there any topics that you feel like when Black Americans are speaking that you would say, you know what? I ain't a Black American, I'm gonna fall back. I shouldn't speak on that. Are there any topics?
I gave you an example when it comes to the intricate details, and as far as like I can give you my suggestion and like, hey, this is how you would do reparations.
No. A suggestion means you're still talking. When I say fall back, that means we don't want to hear your opinion. You are saying, you know what? My opinion is irrelevant in this conversation because I'm not them. So I'm gonna fall back and let them discuss it because I'm not them. I'm not gonna give no opinions or nothing. I'm gonna listen to them. I'm gonna let them speak on it. That's what I'm asking.
All right, put it like this, because I'm not. I guess I gotta change my modes, because see, I'm in Pan-African spaces where black people are just black people and we just love each other.
Yeah, but
I'm answering.
All right, go.
And we want to see the best for each other, so we give each other constructive criticism, no matter who you are, where you're from. We're all black, and we give construction. Now, if I'm in a space, so let's say for some crazy reason I'm in FBA space and y'all get triggered because you like to divvy up black people and I'm not like you and all this other dumb shit. Out of respect for the panel, I was like, you know what? They don't receive what I'm saying as constructive criticism. They see me more adversarial than a white man. I will fall back because I know the conversation is not going to go nowhere. You're not going to take that as constructive criticism. You're going to take that as sabotage. So yes, in particular spaces, yes, I would. So let's say it was like 3-4 more FBA people on here, and for some crazy reason I'm on here. Yes, I wouldn't even say anything because it's not going to go anywhere.
But only if it's more FBA folks on the panel than you. But in general, you're saying that
I like this panel because this panel is diverse. We have people with different ideologies, so we could really hear what everybody is saying. So that's why I am here, and I love this panel, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
One more question for everybody before everybody jump in. So you're saying that your input depends on who's on the panel and who's giving input, not based on your view of the overall situation. Whereas, like, if you're looking at say Ghanaian people speaking on Ghanaian, that's not going to determine whether or not you give input. It's depending on who's on the panel right now. It's depending on who's on. You know what I'm saying?
There's first thing, there's no such thing as Ghanaian. I think you mean Ghanaian. Number two, I think it's hard for you to comprehend. I think it's hard for you to comprehend what a Pan-African is.
Don't.
So as a Pan-African and people being in Pan-African spaces,
we were doing good, man. We were doing good.
People don't understand. People don't understand these little digs. It's when you start telling niggas it's hard to comprehend. You very passive aggressive.
Right? Yeah, we know exactly what he's saying. That's why we go on.
That's how you take it. That's how you take it. I'm trying to.
Hey, G gonna catch it. G gonna catch it.
Very passive aggressive. It's very passive aggressive.
I'm not gonna bow down to FBA.
You ain't gotta bow down.
It's not bowing down. It's just passive aggressive behavior.
Kiss their ass and don't push back. Yes, I'm in your good graces.
I'm
not that dude. I'm not that dude. Anyway, let me answer the question. Hold on, no. Let me answer the question.
No.
I'll repeat it again. When you use the example as Ghana and people of a panel full of Ghanaians, again, if there's a bunch of Ghanaians, there's like they don't want any Caribbeans and not any continental Africans on this panel. And what I'm saying, they're not going to receive. If I'm talking about Ghana, I would not be in that space. It's because they'll find my presence and my input there offensive. So you keep putting up the same examples, keep switching it. You can switch. You keep switching different type of black people, but my answer is going to be the same.
Kofi, you don't think you're offensive in FBA spaces?
Yes, and I'm not even going to say why. We don't know why. Then you're going to get all triggered again.
Okay, so
this is my question. Why does he think that FBA is not?
Please, let me give me a second.
Okay.
So you don't want to be offensive to Ghanaian spaces, but you are 100%.
No, I did not say that. I said if I'm on the panel with Ghanaians that aren't Pan-Africans that find my presence offensive, I wouldn't be there. But if I am there, I wouldn't say anything because my message wouldn't be received in brotherly love and advice.
But you're
not going to receive my information and my critique of Black Americans as a whole as in being genuine.
Kofi. I came tonight with peace. Listen to the playback. But what I'm saying is there is an entitlement that you and a lot of Pan-Africans have when FBA are speaking about our shit, that y'all feel like y'all could just jump in and give y'all 2 cents. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when other folks speaking about this stuff, which I'm sure in the worldwide internet, it's 1,000 spaces out there, 1,000 YouTube channels, there's 1,000 all of these going on, right? Well, all these folks are around the world discussing their stuff in their countries, and y'all Negroes, y'all black folks in the diaspora, y'all Pan-Africanists, y'all are not in their spaces. You know where y'all
But
at?
y'all let that go.
Y'all,
That's
no,
okay.
you know where y'all at? Y'all
That's not an ad
FBA
hominem, but the panel's okay with it.
He called you a Negro.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I did. I was mad. I was mad.
Your panel.
Hold on, a Negro is ad hominem.
It's your panel. You make the rules, man.
I got mad.
A Negro is ad hominem, nigga.
You got offended by Negro.
Your panel. You make the rules.
Hold on, nigga. Negro is ad hominem.
You got offended.
Let me just understand that. Ad
Can I
hominem
say
is
something?
Negro.
Hey, fellas, I think that we are over time, and this has been a great episode. But
Negro is ad hominem.
Also, Discord.
Kamu didn't go yet.
Y'all gonna keep going in the after show. So let's just end this real quick, so I can alleviate myself of responsibility.
That's crazy.
He gonna go to the after show, and y'all can add this later. Let me relieve myself of responsibility really quickly. So with that said, this has been a fun episode. I don't know if it's left more questions than answers, but I do think that we did have a lot of good faith conversation and back and forth and discourse amongst like agreements and different disagreements between FBA, Pan-Africanism, XYZ. But again, the lead question is comparing American and immigrants' path in America. Good or a good comparison. It seems like the majority of the panel said no. With that said, at the top you see GH Podcast. G the King is the Cash App. To him, that is Johnny J Rock 989 is the Cash App. Sess Majid, a favorite on Unpack and To Be Fair Show. He come with the notepad. He give us the notes. Kofi, Pan-African's finest, Pan-African's favorite, should I say. Quincy, my second favorite FBA. I'm gonna still give it the FBA trade, but you my second favorite FBA. Old man, second time on the panel. We appreciate you. Fire. Kamu, you ain't get to chime in, but meet us in the chat after show.
Shout out to the motherland.
Shout out to the motherland, South
Africa.
But yeah, so with that said, hey fellas, y'all see inside the private chat, hit the after show. Discord link is in the description. I gave y'all the Cash Apps, super chat if you like.
You post the after show in the Discord too.
Yeah, I'll post it in there. With that said, this has been another great episode of Unpack. 3 hours of content for y'all. We appreciate y'all. We are here every Wednesday, 9:30 ish. Sometimes it starts at like 9:45, but ish. But with that said, we out. Peace.